Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Ashutosh, and I've been working with various industries, and probably by choice or by chance. But I must say, every organization gives a very different learning. So just about myself, I have worked in telecom, I've worked in FMCG, I've worked in broking, and I'm now an investment banker. So my last assignment was with Nomura, which was around 12 years, and now I'm with a company called CLSA. Both are investment banks, and I must say that I'm still learning. So I don't call myself as a learned professional, but a learner. So that's a little bit about me.
Hi, everybody. I would like to welcome everybody from behalf of Keka. So to give an introduction about myself, I'm Kshitij. I've been helping organization automate the HR processes, define a great talent management process. My journey with Keka has been a decade long. In this entire journey, I've been helping build this technology. So I'll try to bring that side of the intelligence here in the conversation. That will be my addition. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kshitij, Ashutosh, and Mr. M.V.N. Rao, sir. So we are not talking about the culture, but we are talking about high performance culture. Yeah. So keep this thing in the mind. There is a difference between both. And I want you to be ready with a lot of questions. Ask as many as ruthless questions to all the panel speaker except me. Yeah. Because moderator doesn't have any right to answer the question. Yeah. But yeah, I have all the right to answer the question whenever I want. So let me start with Mr. Rao. So as I said, every company has a different kind of culture. Some people manager decide, some people CEO decide, or some it is coming from the legacy. So according to you, how do you say, okay, this is the high performance culture? Or you like to throw some light on actually culture and then go to high performance?
Thank you. I think let's take each element of that actually. I mean, we talk about high performance work culture, because most of us work for organizations. It can be a commercial organization, social organization, or any kind of an organization. Whether it is HR Shapers is also an organization. Like any organization fundamentally exists to perform. I mean, without performance, there is no organization. Likewise, we also say that every manager's responsibility is to perform. If you don't perform, there is no need for you to exist. So when we talk about a high performance work culture, I mean, somebody beautifully gave some lovely definitions of culture. Culture is a very, it's a not too easy animal to be tamed, because people have a variety of definitions for it. But broadly, what we keep talking about culture is that, what is that particular thing which I think there is a very famous learned man by name Sumantra Ghoshal. I think he has made a small video called The Smell of the Organization. When you talk about a smell of the organization, is that when you walk into an organization, you actually notice some amount of behaviors which are consistent and which are repeatably done in an organization, large or small. And that is at what you call the tip of the iceberg level. And there are many, many more things when you go into the organization. But how I define a high-performing work culture, the outcomes of a high-performance work culture, because let me take an example of a company like L&T. We have been around for around 84 years, and we have been performing. And we have never skipped declaring a profit in any quarter for many, 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 many decades. So we consistently perform, and every customer of ours says that we produce a quality work, and we produce whatever project we take, we do it on time. So what is the outside-in definition of what is this organization all about? So we describe this organization as a performing organization which actually delivers to the customer expectations and consistently meet the stakeholders' expectations as well. So when we have to produce a culture of that particular kind, there are many things that go into it. It is like making let me describe in a dish. If you have to make a dish which is actually very tasty and meets the expectations of the consumer, and many things go into that. For a few things, actually, I think very simple things that go into it is that every organization needs to have a purpose for its existence. It has the purpose of its existence. Then there is a very clearly articulated strategy, how you are going to achieve that particular thing. In between, there are many things like your vision, mission, and so many other things. But broadly, there is a strategy, and broadly, there is an execution methodology, strategy for execution, and so on and so forth. But interesting point, what you need to keep in mind, what I have seen in companies is that there are three key elements that go into it. One, what I call it as leadership expectations clearly communicated in a simple, uniform language across the company. Number two is that there are rituals and rhythms in an organization. For example, when you say, I think I worked in an organization like pharmaceutical organization where I've seen an owner doing a monthly review of division by division for 23 years. And in that organization, I think it is very clearly the ritual and is defined. And that is the culture of that organization. Everybody knows in the first week of the month, there is going to be a review. And that ritual is followed by the leadership and by everybody in the organization, and that communicated down the line to everybody. And the entire ecosystem, the people, performance, rewards, they're all actually aligned to that particular thing in a very defined fashion. So there are many, many components are there, but broadly what we can take back is, if you have to create a high performance work culture, you need to have articulated behaviors, you need to have rituals and rhythms established in the organization, and you need to make the people ecosystem work in sync with that, whatever you have defined. Then you can, over a period of time, if you can sustain it, the triple bottom line, what you call as people, profit, and planet, I think it can be sustained. An organization can develop and produce the results that you can see in the form of a high-performing work culture. That's my little take on it, but I think we will go ahead and then explore it as we go forward again. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So, what is HR favorite topic nowadays, you know? It can be related to culture also. Holi Kabe. Okay, before you post this message on WhatsApp group and social media, raise your hand, Holi is on 7th. Those who believe Holi is on 7th. Everybody look at each other, only 40% people are saying 7th. Okay, how many are saying Holi is on 8th? Okay, I think people decided it is on 7th. So, sir, whether high performance or any culture, people not able to decide when is Holi. Right? So it's very tricky thing, you know. Even leaders are saying, okay, go and do benchmark study. We have seen HR managers saying, okay, go to WhatsApp and find out Holi Kabe. Right? And every day it is repetitive message which is coming and all. Yeah. So before I give it to you, very good question. Let me ask you, do you know what is the culture of your organization? Yes. Raise your hand. Okay, few. Oh. Sir, people don't know, Ashutosh, the culture of their organization. Do you know culture knows that you know the culture of the organization? So there is a difference in both, right? And who's that culture? It can be your manager, it can be the leadership, it can be the system, it can be you yourself also. So you have seen, Ashutosh, people don't know what is the culture of the organization. I don't know why they didn't raise the hand. So I wanted to ask you, what are the characteristics of knowing, okay, this is high performance culture organization?
Thanks. It's a very interesting, concept. So by the virtue of being the way India is, there are some things which get created by accident and there are some things which get created by plan. Every organization has a unsaid fabric, and if you closely observe, you can see that. I think culture is the same thing, and I will come to the question which Ashish asked. But before that, we need to understand that there are some cumulative behaviors which predominantly, if exhibited by leadership, it gets percolated down the line and it starts defining a certain type of culture. The more the same type of people you start hiring, the more firmer it becomes. So it's more like regimentization. It's more like living in a certain concept. It's more like living in do's and don'ts. Over a period of time, it becomes your natural behavior. So that's what culture is for me. I'm sure a few of you can differ to that. But predominantly, that's how I have seen it in last 22 years of my career. Just for your awareness, I've worked for Indian organization. I've worked for MNCs where I've worked for European organizations. I've worked for Japanese organization, and now I work for a Chinese organization. So all this is very diverse. And what threads I could draw is that there is a certain type of behavior, a certain type of collective response, a certain type of collective review mechanism. If you closely observe, you will figure out, and that actually defines the culture. Now, to come to the question which Ashish asked, that how do we find that what is a high-performing culture? Now, given a choice, all of us, would have not wanted to appear for an exam, and every exam has a score. And so has PMS in every organization. So when your people are only looking at the 100 scorecard, which is, achieving what is given, I think that's performance. What's high performance is how many of your people actually want to beat the scorecard and go beyond. Now, इतने पैसे में इतना ही होगा is something which is predominantly seen, and all of us almost at some point of our career would have heard the 20-80 principle. The more the 20% starts expanding, the higher you move towards your high performing culture in an organization. Now, how do you do it? Either you only hire top talent, which actually creates your 20% of the work culture. Is it affordable? Maybe not. Is it probably healthy? Maybe not, because probably we all have seen that too many cooks actually spoil the food. So if you have only experts, everybody will have a very strong opinion. So both class of people are very important in an organization. But the more you try to make people cross the bridge and show them a direction where they can move from probably achieving to overachieving, or probably exceeding what is being given, then you start transforming into a high-performing organization. Now, how do we do it? I can only share what I have seen in my organization and what I have learned as a benchmarking. Probably the most important thing is fairness. If it is obvious in the organization that the organization is fair, people strive for more. People start doing more. Second is transparency. If you are not transparent, maybe you are actually rewarding or recognizing very high performance, but people may not know why the person is getting, recognized. So you are not exhibiting a trait which others should follow to move or cross the bridge. Third is talent escalation. Talent escalation means I upskill my people. If you don't upskill and if you expect people to perform beyond what they are doing is, until unless the person is self-motivated, may not be able to do it. So that's the third pillar. And the fourth is, I think I can borrow it from the latest movie, RRR. Reward, recognize, and make people responsible. If you identify people, first recognize them, give them responsibility, and reward them adequately. Gradually, you'll start seeing the transformation happening from a performance to a high performance. Of course, needless to say, there is a feedback mechanism which is very required, because you need to know whether people are rightly understanding what you are trying to drive or not. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks, Ashutosh. So some of the point I agree with you, but some of the point, look at what's happening. Companies firing people like anything. And they are high performance organization. You agree? Recent news, the guy with, high performance rating fired. The guy who was taking interview being fired. And which are those company? They are sitting on huge money. They can buy, another country actually, in some part of the world, right? So what we are talking is, some kind of, maybe it's a wish list, but company to company, like, the first question which I asked to MVN. So before I go to Kshitij, okay, be ready with the question. After Kshitij, I will take some question. My next question to each one of you, how many of you having HRMS? Okay, great. How many of you having a Keka HRMS? Kshitij, there is a homework for you. Huh? Tell your team to find out who doesn't have Keka. Okay, then how many of you believe that, technology, specifically HRMS, can really increase the productivity and can make culture which can be like high performance culture? Okay, so that's really good. So, Kshitij, you have seen, people response. So according to you, you are from the Keka, you are interacting with so many HR leader, and I keep saying, let me take another 2 minutes. You know end-to-end HR? Do you know end-to-end HR? I don't think so. Who knows end-to-end HR is only today, nowadays, people who are working in a HRMS company. Think about it, huh? Just for a second, think about it, because they deal with so many companies, they have access to so many policies of the different company. Okay, they come to you and say, this company follows this good process and policies. They have inside data, they have the salary access of each and every. Nothing against that, right? Okay, they know how to, bypass ChatGPT. Nowadays, ChatGPT is going to play an important role in, how actually high performance culture can be important. So Kshitij, what technology can really play the role when it comes to high performance culture?
Right, so I don't think technology can do it entirely, right? So I'm a rigorous believer of Peter Drucker. So what he said, that what cannot be measured cannot be improved, is something which stands very accurate till date. So in terms, if we look at it with reference to that, I still believe that technology has a role of enabling people. So we as a tech, we always aim at not replacing humans, but rather than that, humanizing our technology to a bit that, humans get enabled by it. So how technology can help, right? So this is a big question for me to answer. So if we look at it, like we started building this as a, core ops, HR ops platform, where we wanted to make sure that HR's everyday life becomes a little sorted once they implement our platform. So we started our surveys. It was early 2015. We started connecting with HR people across the globe into different industries, different verticals, different HR functions. So we realized, like the major amount of time that was going was into doing the menial HR ops, which was, like managing people, leave data, attendance data, then, doing the payroll exercising, then talent acquisition, right? So, that was the first bunch of features that we brought in. But eventually, 3 to 4 years, technology found its place into the ecosystem. The needs, we moved forward, right? So the constant interaction that we got from the market, I wouldn't say that, like what Ashish was referring, that HRMS people know more than HR. We frankly have learned from HR itself. That is the knowledge which drives us, which fuels us to build more. So in terms of performance, the way I look at it, there are majorly 3 dimensions of an employee performance. One is the goals that employees have, right? So there are certain aspirations that an employee has when they join an organization. They want to drive few initiatives from their end, right? So that is the goals, the KRAs, KPIs, you call it OKRs. There are multiple nomenclatures today. That is one aspect of an employee performance, the dimension of employee performance. We saw that there are competencies which were required to be constantly upskilled, right? So there were different type of competencies, core competencies, common success, job-specific competencies. So other than that, the third important aspect was the values. So the core values also is another important aspect of building an organization culture of performance, where which kind of defines the kind of, the way an employee will interact with the atmosphere inside the organization or everybody else in the organization, and as well as people outside the organization. So that is what fuels the culture of the organization as well. So, I have been urging organizations to implement all of the frameworks at the same time. I still see that, it's a hard thing to do, right? Because it just not takes elevation of an HR to do this. It also requires employees, the leaders, the managers, everybody needs to be onboarded into this. So how technology helps, right? So we figured out that whenever an organization starts, or even if any organization is in a mid-cycle, there are some, long-term aspirations or, long-term aspirations that an organization has for, being there. They're trying to solve one or the other, there is a purpose if we look at it, right? So the purpose could be larger than humanity. It could be, something as simple as making money. But it would have a purpose. Now, once this purpose seeps down into the departments, every single department head will pull that purpose into their direction, right? And there are silos created where every department will think about their set of problems and not exactly the aspiration of the organization as a whole. So, as a technology, we wanted to bring, solve that as a gap where the alignment from top to bottom was required in terms of giving this visibility, right? So we looked at the great organizations like Google, Netflix, right? And we started creating different kind of processes which are currently running in these organizations. So today, if we look at it, like our tool is, in short, providing everybody a clear visibility in terms of what they need to do. And we also look at creating a positive environment of communication, an environment of constructive feedback. So that is few of the things which has been helping organizations drive. And performance module of Keka has been one of the most adopted platform, adopted module of our technology just because of that reason. So yeah, I think that is all. I think mobile application is another feature which has been helping us a lot to reach out to people at a deeper circuit. And we need to build more in that direction itself.
Hey, Kshitish, thank you so much. Okay, are we ready for a question? Yes, I have a question. Yes, so I will take only 3 questions. Second will be here, okay? And third. Okay, so before you start, let me share something, I came across on the Google. There is a terminology in the corporate, what they say and what they mean. So let me read. You must be a good team player, and it's all related to the culture, huh? So you always need to understand between the line. Yeah, transparency doesn't work in an organization, please understand. Right? Yeah? So you must be a team player. What does it mean? That you should not question your manager, boss, authority. Okay, I'm sorry, panel speaker, but yeah, this is the reality, corporate reality, yeah? Yeah, then agile team, we have daily stand-up call. A market leader recently started making a profit. We have urgent need, which means our other rock star just left and no one understands anything now. Okay, dynamic work environment. What does it mean? Our leadership keeps changing the priorities. Self-starter, if somebody is telling you you are self-starter, independent, which means we have no processes. Okay, and you are passionate and interested and all. What does it say that? Okay, it's a preserve through regular death march. Okay, I will take one more, then we'll go to the question. We are working in a fast-paced environment, competitive, and beating the market. Your job will be constant firefighting mode. Yeah. So forget your role, forget your KRA, every day it may be changing. Yeah. So this is the reality, guys. I know you are facing more than me in your company, right? And you yourself may be part of it to building up. Because each one of you are manager also. So just think about it. Where are you? Are you facing or are you being victim of this? Okay, so we'll start with the ladies. Okay, you have the mic in hand, I believe. Yes, get up. Okay, so some rules. Question has to be question, no observation. Okay, if it is specific to any panel speaker, please tell the name. Okay. Yeah?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell 3 things for the culture and the performance also, and then the question also. See, you people have been talking about the the culture and the, what should I say, the performance. See, the leader will be communicating to the other people. That is one of the things Mr. Rao has told. And the review meetings. And then the third one is the integration of the values and other things. So I just wanted to tell regarding the culture also. See, in a recent review meeting, my name is VK Thangapan, VKT. I work for some automobile industry, mainly for the Tata Motors, channel partner. See, they're in one of the recent review meetings which we have been taking. And during that meeting, there was one, the leader HOD has told about the performance of a small guy. He has been recently recruited, maybe around 1 week or 2 weeks back. And the performance of that guy has been made in such a manner, he has got a lot of leads, pipelines, and retails far better than the other people. So sitting in the meeting, the chairman himself has taken away his watch and he has passed on to that gentleman, that boy. And that is a culture of the company where I just started. So that is one of the culture. And the another thing I wanted to cite is, one lady is standing in a group of Tata group in a fine evening. And another gentleman is coming from behind to her. In the evening, it is dark, going to be dark. And he asked to the lady, why are you standing over here alone in these premises? She says, I am waiting for my husband. And after some time, one car comes over there. And the man comes out. And the lady says that this is my husband. I am going, thank you very much. And the first lady, everybody might have heard the story also. The first lady is Sudhamurthy. And the man who was just standing behind and asked the lift, why you are standing over there, that is Jayadi Tata. And the man who has got out from the car, that is Mr. Murthy. So that is the culture of that Tata group. So this is one of the culture. But now what happened is...
So let me decide the culture for this all right now.
Yeah, the question is...
What is the question?
The question is, now we are talking about all these kind of HR integrations and HR values. So nowadays we take the people, we hire them, and then we fire them. So the people who have been working elsewhere, we recruit them, and they are in a very good performance. Immediately you fire. That is, you are not at all needed. Could it be a culture, or could it be a HR a good practice? Because he has been working in a very good performer in elsewhere. And in a short time, unexpectedly, it has been all his future, all his talents, career, everything has been annihilated. Collapse, perish, disruption. Could it be a culture, or could it be a practice, better practice or performance?
So I think what you mean to say, when such thing happen, who can be victim? Whether culture or whether employee, whether leadership and all. Who decided? Who is deciding, when people are being fired and, because of the performance?
I mean, see, actually, this is a very interesting phenomenon. When culture of an organization, when we are talking about, organizations produce performance, and the leaders are measured these days, unfortunately or fortunately, on every quarter to quarter kind of results that they produce. And let's say, for example, those big names which you took in the beginning, which is go off people with heaps of money with them. I mean, themselves announce that it is nothing linked to the performance, maybe certain roles, either they have become superfluous, or we do not want to continue to have those roles inside the company. Maybe I think I'll keep it with my service providers or whatever it is. There could be hundreds of reasons. Because actually, I mean, in the last 10 years back, 10 to 15 years back, I think even letting go of people was an unheard of thing in this country. Not much we have heard before 2008, when we had that particular issue of Lehman Brothers and all that. But if you notice now, 2 years back, we had attritions of 30% in companies. Okay? When people were finding jobs at 40%, 50%, 60%. So I think it is now become a relationship of whatever suits me, I do it kind of a story. To that extent, if you notice, many of the, at least the tech companies or the new age companies, or where you believe that the business models can change, what Ashish was talking about, when the investors take away the money and suddenly you discover that growth plans are not working. A lot of changes keep happening. So what you think will happen, but what happens is very different. But I don't think anybody starts with the intention of letting go people. Because every entrepreneur who begins or runs an enterprise is with an intention of growing. But actually when the water flows over his head, and when we realize that it is not going to work out, I think they let go and then shut the shop and then move on. But interesting point
that's very
is...
cruel. That's very cruel. Sometimes, because the culture should be, see, LIC का एक word है, जिंदगी का साथ भी है, जिंदगी का बाद भी है. I will add, जिंदगी का पहले भी है, इसका साथ भी है, इसके बाद भी है. So there should be some kind of integration, some kind of not cruel thing should happen. Because
No, but actually what I would like to say is that we are all in a free market economy. There will be jobs come our way, jobs go our way. But as HR professionals, I think we should be humane in the way we do things and make sure that the decisions are made in a fair manner, and also the providing of severance pay or whatever it is done properly, and make sure that you do those things systematically. Because there is never going to be a day where there's always the upcycles will be there in business. There will be recession, there will be downturn, there will be plans going awry, not working out. I have assumed something, an order will come, an order doesn't come, I have hired in anticipation. There are a lot of things that keep happening and we don't happen, and organizations are imperfect. I don't think organizations are perfect or human beings are perfect which are leading that. So everybody assumes certain things to go in a particular fashion, it doesn't go. And it is unfortunate. I think nobody likes it in an organization to let go of anybody. But how, I think it should not be done on an email, or it should not be done on WhatsApp, or it should not be done on something. Those are the kind of things which are actually not befitting for any kind of a people professional. You got to handle with care. You got to deal with care. You got to make sure that these things do happen, but how do you handle those things in a fashion which we need to actually maintain the organizational rhythm, as well as also people continue to work in that organization after some people are let go or left also. So how do we actually manage those people also is very important. So it is not a question of there is a full stop that is never should happen, only when it doesn't happen the culture is right. I don't think I agree with that. But yeah, how you do it is very, very important as I see it.
And all such decision is taken in the boardroom. Meeting room decide what is the company culture. When people are either being shut up, or people don't even listen, or people say, fine, next meeting will happen. Yeah, we'll take another question from here.
So actually...
You want to add, or?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Janet Agarwal. I had something very similar to speak. So I have worked for, I'm an ex-starter as well, and I've worked for a tech company as well. And the tone set from Tatas is very different, from code of conduct to etiquettes to ethics that you follow. And when it comes to a technology company where, we hire a high performance company, where you hire a lot of people and then you find an IITN going away because of certain role changes or because of economic crisis. Now my question to you is, you've answered most of it, but the question to you is, how do we change the tone of the leaders in the organization? Like you mentioned that you need to maintain the rhythm of the organization, but how do you do that practically? Because on the floor, when you have 40% people leaving, there's always a fear that I might be the second one, I'm the one leaving. So how do you set that tone? And it's very, very important, because if you want to set the rhythm on, and you want the organization to keep going, then this is something very important to address. And as HR, everybody looks up to HR to give an answer, and then you are left with few answers or no answers actually, We cannot say that it was decided in the boardroom. We need to have practical answers. We need to have that empathy, sympathy to employees, because we need people to run the organization.
Sir, I think we are touching very sensitive topic. Yeah, and to be very frank, this has nothing to do with culture. Okay, if we are not living in the world where profit, money is most important, business is most important, client satisfaction is most important. If you don't understand, then you are not there at the right place. Yeah, please understand. But yeah, I leave it up to panel speaker to answer it. Yes, sir.
Right, so to add to this, right, so both the questions are pretty similar. It's about how do we protect our people, right, and how do we protect our people from a crazy leadership, I would say that, right. So I think, largely if we look at it today, and it has improved, I would say it has improved. So 2014, when we started our research, we figured out the performance management for an employee was limited to the set of metrics that they need to manage, right? Which is, it shows kind of a shallowness in the goal setting process that the organization has. So as HR, it's an innate responsibility of an HR department to make sure that this goal setting happens from top to bottom and there is an alignment in it. Now, let me take one example. Let's say Google's example is a great example, right? So I guess all of you would have read Measure What Matters, book by John Doerr, who was a OKR coach, first OKR coach for Google, right? So what they did was the way they operate their goal setting process is that there is a short-term committed objectives or KRAs which people have, which kind of shows that how will you be measured in the upcoming year, what responsibilities are there on top of you, on which you need to perform. And then there is an aspirational long-term goal setting process, which is 3 to 4 years long, right? Now that makes sure, if you're asking your leaders or your line managers to at least make sure that there is a visible career path for an employee to aspire for, I think we can retain our people for a longer period. So largely what is happening is just because this information stays to the HR department, it never reaches down to the middle levels. So employees see that as soon as something which is expected out of an employee this month or next month, if they don't do that, right, they are in a risk zone already, right? So we need to make sure that that happens. There has to be a deeper goal setting process, like maybe SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound, right? So that's not where it is limited as of now. We need to make sure that people write something which will motivate them, which has a bigger plan, a long-term value addition for an organization. Now, I understand that there would be people here from who would have manufacturing units, who would have a lot of blue-collar employees in their organizations, and it's hard for that, for the organizations to do it. But that is where the criticality of having performance coaches in the organization is increasing heavily, to make sure that people think about business in a right manner. We cannot literally look at business from a 3 months, 6 months perspective. It has to be something bigger, something better. So I think elevating people's consciousness in terms of how we are going to carry out a business in the organization matters a lot. So today in our organization, we make sure that every single person that joins in the organization, way before they learn the product or the technology, we make sure that they understand that what is the true reason of we starting this company. The HR upliftment, which was the core purpose of the organization, the mission of the organization that we had, we wanted to tell them that you need to think from that. You need to be empathetic. You need to be, you need to practice values like equity, where you are providing people with whatever they need. So this is something which I think is becoming critical because a lot of focus in the previous decade has been on procuring great talent, but now it is moving from not just procuring great talent, but keeping managing or evolving your talent to a great level. So that is possible if we actually HR department develops that that goal setting muscle inside their head, so that they can actually mentor people or coach people in terms of how to think straight for a long term actually.
So I'll take one more question, then we'll come back to our normal panel discussion. How many of you know your KRA, goal setting? If I ask you second time, then everybody will raise the hand. So you know your KRA. Do you really work on those KRA? Right. Third question. Okay, it doesn't end over here. Third question. Is your performance evaluated being on those KRA? Right? So this is kind of culture you are living into. Okay? So this is kind of culture you are living in. I just asked 3 questions. All 3 are different, right? Imagine what's happening with the employee. Everybody is taken for granted. Okay? And then we are talking about high performance, low performance, and less performance, whatever you can call it. Yeah? I'll take one question. Sir, you want to add something or?
Sure. So while I really respect the kind of diversity in the thought which is coming up, but let's not generalize, and let me be fair to the organizations as well. So almost all of us know there is a evaluation platform called Glassdoor. So when you go there, if various organizations have various ratings, you cannot have same behavior in every organization. Just picking up from where Sir left, I think pre-2007, the compensations were very different before the recession had hit. And post that, the compensations are very different for individuals when they get paid. Now, when you go for a higher compensation, you know you are going for a higher risk. We all know that the public sector is made more from a standpoint to create employment. The private sector is made more from a point to generate profitability. Let's be empathetic towards the leaders as well. Sometimes certain plannings go wrong. Sometimes productivity needs to be enhanced, and every investor needs a return on the investment. Either it can be a Titanic sinking with everyone, or there can be some offload and some of the people live for long. So, being in the financial services, it's most difficult to predict the market, and that's why probably I have seen this part of laying off and expansion more, probably compared to many of my, HR folks. I have seen that there is no intent when you are hiring someone that I will fire this person after 6 months. It's never the intent. It's always the intent to make the organization progressive, expand. Of course, if a person is not performing, the way is either you shape up or shape out. So, that's what I wanted to add, Ashish. So let's be fair.
And also, Ashutosh, when somebody is fired, it doesn't mean that, I'm firing you because I hired you. Okay, I think, yeah, you had a question. Yes, can somebody give him mic? Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Check. Hi. My question is twofold. First thing is it possible to have a flatline culture? Like you started off by saying that different functions have different cultures. Is it possible to have one culture throughout the organization? Second is the guests here are from, I'm assuming, 1,000 employee plus. What about those companies which are at 250, soon to be 300, 350? Plus the mindset today is very different when we approach business. Performance means something else today. Like in L&T, the performance because the infrastructure sector is very set. The dress code is set. Sometimes in office, as a head of HR, I just walk in a t-shirt. So that is acceptable today in a young organization. So with respect to those cultures and those business mindsets versus the traditional mindsets, can you just give me how do we approach the new mindset where a 250 organization wants to be a 1,000 organization?
So mid-size, MSME, how's the culture differentiation, right? That's what you're asking.
Yeah, and the flatline, is it possible? Because you started off, and that got me really thinking, because when I see my organization, there are two sides. And both the sides, one feels like a Punjabi side, one feels like an EDM side. Look, that's how you feel while walking into that bay also. So is it possible to have both the bays feeling the same emotion of smelling the same as you started with?
I will give one input after panel speaker give the answer. Who want to start, sir? Okay, I'm just looking at the watch, so request, just short, sweet and crisp, then we'll take another question, yeah.
No, actually, I think Ashish touched upon this point earlier. I think if we talk about cultures, let's say multinational companies, the culture same in all parts of the world. No, it is not. So there is actually a national culture, then there is an industry culture, then there is actually a company culture, and within that, there could be a large company like ours, we have 100,000+ employees spread all over the place. Is it the same everywhere? It may not be the same. It will not be, because finally, if I take a small functional head with around 20 people working with him, he can set a beautiful culture. He can create an island of excellence within any kind of an imperfect place also. But there are some large elements in that organization which are common for everybody. That we could actually openly, that is where we say that they are articulated, they are understood, they are followed, and they are actually practiced, and they are rewarded, and they are recognized. If these things are consistently done over a period of time, organizations will start saying that in our company, this is the way we do things here. And that is something which we can certainly do. And in a smaller organization, I think this articulation can be a lot more personal. Like I can do a town hall with this is the entire employee strength of my company. Maybe I can have a personal connect. I can have actually a lot more connect with each one of the people concerned. I can actually address and ensure employee experience of a uniform nature to everybody. I can make it happen a lot more differently and a lot more succinctly and a lot more closer to each employee what he or she expects from that particular kind of a culture. Larger the company, we depend on the middle managers, we depend on the managers to carry forward that kind of a thing. So people come from different backgrounds. I don't think we can ever expect everybody will do exactly the same way. But at least what is considered as organizational way of doing things, you tend to define them, and we also define the consequences of not doing that little more clearly. Or doing it is also defined clearly, but there are certain how to do it portions or left to the individuals concerned to do it in a particular fashion. So it is quite possible you can have common company culture with scope for actually subcultures to exist within that particular kind of a thing by actually making sure that what is negotiable and what is non-negotiable kind of thing.
So let me ask you, how many states India has?
28, 25. Earlier 29, it was 28.
So you go to another state, even forget the state. Within the state, if you go to one place to another place, many things being changed. And if you are not able to change yourself, what will happen? You will not survive. Right? Now, same analogy applicable to the organization. Whether it's small, big or large size, or multinational, high performance or low performance companies. Anybody like to add anything before I?
Right, so to answer that, I don't think it's possible because I haven't seen it ever, right? So the way I look at it, like every business has, there is a dark side, there is a bright side of the business. A bright side largely is like, let's say, sales functions, right? There are direct rewards linked with your KRAs, right? There are claps attached to it. There is value attached to it. There's power attached to it, right? And along with that, like I think every individual also has its own personality. If an organization has a culture, every individual also has a personality. So to talk on that, like I don't think it's possible. But what best can we do is something which matters the most. So just to encourage this side, what we did as a technology is that we developed a continuous feedback platform, where on a continuous basis, people can appreciate, right? They can like, share, subscribe the things that they like, right? This was just an attempt to make sure that there is a wall in the organization where, the good values and the things which are appreciated can be reflected and shown to everybody else. Now, when we designed this, the idea was to control the recency effect of performance, where like managers keep forgetting during the time of rating itself what happened during the entire year, right? So that recency effect used to lead to the false ratings on basis of last 2 months or 3 months of employee performance or behavior mostly. So as a technology, we can do this, but at the end of the day, like I think it's an impossible thing to chase, right? So we can best establish few checks, few pillars, which make sure that this does not get to a hazardous level. But yeah, that's the best we can actually do here.
Just a couple of lines to just answer probably very sharply to what you asked. You asked whether it is possible to have a uniform culture. No, it's not. There are various reasons. One is a very clear concept that a thought process from childhood to your adulthood or probably even further gets evolved, and it is in a certain manner. Two people, even if in the same house, may think differently. So you can't expect same people to behave to the same situation in the same manner. So I hope that gives you an idea that why it can't be same. But yes, it's a conscious problem, and probably that's why globally, even now, probably at very small organizations also, I see a huge focus on DEI, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because you have to respect probably how an other person may be understanding what you are saying. I'll just give you a very, funny example. So we in India, generally when you meet or greet someone and, you ask, how are you? And, how's your wife? How are your parents? Is your family okay? I was in the US for a business visit and I did the same thing. And, my counterpart there said, yeah, my wife is doing okay, but how does it matter to you? So, sometimes you don't know that, probably this is not something which is not a welcoming thing. And you can't expect same people to behave in the same manner. Maybe you are working in the same organization. You can max to max have a dominant behavior, but you cannot have uniform people. Not even army, not even, CRPF, not even reserve forces. They can have similar thinking people, but not this behaving absolutely similarly. I hope that answers.
In Ashutosh, in India, most of the time, people decide the culture based on how many leaves you have. What is the dress code policy? Cafeteria में food मेरे को discount पे मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा? Whether I'm working from home or working from office or hybrid, company ने बस दिया कि नहीं दिया? You know, so people just take it for a granted and then forget कि okay, no, what leadership is thinking about the cultures. There is a huge gap between, you understand the culture and what leadership is actually defining the culture. Yeah, this hygiene factor is also important. But, yeah. Yeah, I need to come to you and take the assignment of HR audit. It is not directly giving the feedback because I don't know the background of your organization or many others. Each company is a different. Yeah, your boss may be different, manager may be different, process, policies, ecosystem. I don't know, many other things. Yeah, the legacy, the turnover, the money part, the client, many things. It's just cannot be direct answer. Yeah. Okay, sir, I'm looking at the watch. So what I can do is.
Who all have been in his family, and there were lot of connectivity was there, lot of personal touch was there. So that kind of things has been killed and annihilated nowadays. So that connectivity, if it is there, the culture will definitely develop, and the personal level will develop. The relationship will definitely increase, value will increase, and the loyalty also will increase. But that does not happen over here. Here it is. Today is, if I am here, I am a lucky man. Even the highest performer also is being sacked in the next moment. So uncertainty is very much over here.
Sir,
everywhere it is a pressure.
Sir, 100% agree with you. I just need to stop. I'm looking at the watch because we have 2 more agenda in our schedule. Yeah. So I need to respect the timing and the next presenter also. So can we have a closing remark? Yeah. Yeah, because if you guys look at the watch, yeah, and what the message you want to give it to our HR fraternity? You have seen they know culture, they have XYZ expectation. We start from you, sir.
No, HR has a very important role to play in nurturing, creating, and sustaining a good work culture. I mean, while there will be always aberrations, little pain here and there, but whichever organization you work for, I think we always hear culture eats strategy for breakfast. If you as a leader, HR leader, for whichever organization you are able to do some of these things regularly. It is ability to articulate why that organization exists, plus that alignment of what I think my colleagues talked about, that alignment amongst the people with respect to what we are doing, and the behaviors which are actually to be demonstrated by most of the leaders are articulated, and actually you work on the people ecosystem, that is your rewards, recognition, are all aligned to that. Don't actually just pick up something from somewhere because it looks nice. Maybe because if you have to demonstrate a particular kind of a culture in this organization, if the behavior is one of innovation and the behavior is to be demonstrated in a consistent fashion, how do I actually create my people ecosystem around that? So some thought behind it and some consistency in doing things, and of course authenticity and fairness. I think those are I think you are the custodian of that culture of the organization. If you can make some of those things happen, I'm sure it will be a very joyful thing for you as a HR professional that you have participated in creating a good work culture, and also where employees perished and also nourished and also think that they have created and contributed to the company. So all the best to all of you as you build a work culture.
So I think I have nothing left after such a wonderful closing remark, but I guess only one, probably a personal tip. So being in HR, maybe you are not the person who's deciding the culture, but you are a very important catalyst. So you have to resonate, respond, and also reflect back to the management that how it's being adapted. What is most important is your personal alignment. If your personal value system doesn't align with the culture of the firm, probably that's not the right place, because then you'll not be able to do justice. So always keep that in mind. So that's something from me.
Right, so I think it's already said, all of it. Just to add, right, so I think the definitions that books taught us are evolving now. Like, when I studied 9-box analysis, the helicopter view of an organization, I understood, while I studied, I understood that there is a top performer bracket, which is great in their performance, plus they have huge potential, right? So they are, the most valuable assets for the organization. Then there are non-performers who are poor at both, right? And that is how I used to understand that as a subject. But over the time, like consulting more than 5,000 organizations so far in last decade, I believe that, it's moved beyond that. The middle bracket of the 9-box is where, the true fluid is, which binds the entire organization. So we have to, as HR department, we have to find the source of the culture, right? And every single team will have certain source, right? So there should be a process in place to identify that. So because once you identify what matters, probably, there is a potential of improving that. So that's my closing.
Great. Okay, so last 60 seconds, so let me add something. So people started laughing before even I start. So, there was one, maybe I think I could call it business head, and when he was at home, and then the kids brought something, the diary and pen, pencil. Yeah? So dad said, okay, why you have brought this? I could have brought it from a company. So it's a deep meaning, think about it. So some organization has this kind of people who define the culture. Yeah, I could have brought it from the company. It is simple. I mean, we do it subconscious basis. We must have done it. We must have told our kid and many people, don't worry, I will get it from company, which you are not supposed to actually. Yeah, so it just remind me. And nowadays, who's deciding the culture? ChatGPT is deciding the culture. ChatGPT, system, technology. Yeah, not the people actually. Whom you are dealing with. Today you are dealing with the robot. When you order something on Amazon and anywhere else, there is no human being over there. It's all machine. So you need to understand how the machine works. And machine doesn't understand the culture, please. Yeah, it just understands 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4. Yeah? Okay, and sir, you said culture eat strategy for the breakfast. I said in the beginning, we need to change it, culture eat strategy for the drink, dinner, and dance floor. Okay, thank you so much. You have been wonderful audience. And thank you, Keka, for being amazing host. I would request, spend time, there are 2-3 stalls. They have arranged it for all of us. Understand, and please give a chance for a demo. Yeah, please give a chance to them to understand, what they have. There are many things. And I've been working with them very closely for many other things, not only, okay, I can sell the product, but in terms of creating a awareness about the HR technology and digitalization. Great. Okay, so we still have something. We are here. Thank you, madam.